welcome to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. I'm your host, Saeed. Like I said, viewers, you might see me coughing in and out my program, but it's the Sahara dust in the air. It's affecting my voice, my throat. But nevertheless, Trinidad and Tobago, I am here to give you the latest incidents and update that happens in Trinidad and Tobago. So, just an update. Commissioner of Police, Alistair Grovero, has reaffirmed that all future submission for a firearm permit sent to his office will be addressed in an expeditious manner. In an interview on Thursday, the TTPS revealed that the first batch of application has now been fully addressed and are being returned to the firearm permit unit for prompt dispatch. Commissioner Grovero has directed that no supporting document are to be submitted directly to the firearm permit and advise applicants to await direct communication from their respective station districts. So Trinidad and Tobago, the applications are being sorted out. So I'm sure within a timely manner, you're going to get a call from your station as to what is the next process. Have a little patience and you will get it done. Update again. A resident of 1st Street, Hillview Drive, 5 Rivers, Aruca, is now complaining of negligence by WASA on a leak that has been happening for almost a month. There have also been complaints of a sewer leak in the same area as persons are complaining about foul scent. It was also shown that the WASA pipe are rotten and WASA has since put clamp on it. Persons are calling on the relevant authority to deal with this issue soon. So WASA, Public Utility Minister Barry Padarat, and the new board, complaints are coming into you, and I hope that you all can dispatch somebody to 1st Street, Hillview Drive, 5 Rivers, Aruca. Check it out, see what's going on. The villagers are complaining. Sewer is in the leak. Water lines are rotting. So WASA, see what you could do quick. So to our current affairs program viewers. India Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Trinidad and Tobago. The Air India flight carrying Modi and his entourage arrived at the south terminal of the Piaco International Airport around 3:30 p.m. on July 3rd to a ceremony full of prompt and splendorous benefiting the visit of a major foreign head of state. In addition, to uniformed members of the protective service, there were Mokojambis wearing yellow and carrying TT and India flags. Our culture, performance, and people dressed in traditional East Indian attire waiting to welcome him. Modi was welcomed by Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa, who was wearing a royal blue and silver sari, and other members of her government. Modi's 2-day visit is part of a 5-nation tour, which the India Prime Minister embarked on July 2nd. So Trinidad and Tobago, I just want to say something. There is a religious group, the Islamic group in Trinidad and Tobago, that is telling the government to look at his life before, where he came from. They are saying that he's anti-Muslim. Now listen this, and listen this very, very carefully. I am a Muslim. And one thing I do not do or condone is condemning other religion. I am very, very stern on this. I do not condemn other people's religion. What I do is that I learn about their religion. I learn about their culture. I do not condemn. I am not going to bring myself that low to condemn somebody else's religion. Now I'm going to tell you something. In India, the Hindus are fighting among themselves. In Pakistan, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, the Muslims are fighting among ourselves. So in Jerusalem, the Christians are fighting among themselves. In Roman Catholic, the Roman Catholics are fighting among themselves. So Saieed, who is wise enough to educate you, who love to fight religious talk and religion war, let me tell you something. It puts you nowhere. Nowhere. Because I will tell you, my God never told me to condemn religion. But the little common sense I have, I learned about other people's religion, about other people's culture. You know why? Knowledge is power. And I just wanted to make that statement. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. And I'll put a full stop and a pin right there. Who vex? Take it up with God. It's simple as that. Simple as that. We in Trinidad here, we own people how we suffering. Forget the religion. We own people how we suffering right here. Brother to brother, sister to sister, mother to children, children to parents. We are being suffered right here by our own flesh. Forget the religion. Human being as myself have we suffering right here. So let me start with that first before we condone religion. You understand? I just wanted to say that and make it very clear. Because when I read statement, I was like, nah. Only ain't for real. So if the Muslim and Trinidad vex with me, take it up with Allah. Take it up. So moving along. VMCOTT corruption now. We're staying on that for a little while. Transport and Civil Aviation Minister Ali has called out allegation corruption and improper procurement at the Vehicle Management Corporation, VMCOTT. During Monday night Senate outlined financial mismanagement in VMCOTT. Listen to this.
Amid all the financial worries, VAT has not been paid in years. Millions owed to NIB and BIR, millions owed to WASA and TNTech, millions owed to creditors. Yet the CEO requested a vehicle for $500,000. The list goes on and on, Mr. Speaker.
In other cases, the TTPS allegedly overpaid VMCOTT by $17 million, which the company could not account for. Zachor said $4 million worth of unused parts will never liquidate. Instead, $50,000 was spent on storage container to house them. Zachor added that VMCOTT is responsible for certifying private garage used by TTPS, yet 18 garage approved in 2020 were never formally certified. Listen to this.
I'll give you one example. One particular garage charged $20,000 for a service, which would have only costed $7,000 at VMCOTT. In the last decade, $368 million was spent maintaining police vehicles. I am sure, based on what I have in front of me, tens of millions of dollars have been wasted in the last decade.
You see for yourself, the truth coming out now. Nevertheless, moving to something different now. Minister on bank brutality. Minister in the office of the Prime Minister, Daryl Allaha, is slamming down on what he described as bank brutality. When it comes to ordinary citizens, speaking in the debate on Monday on mid-year review in the Senate on Tuesday, he said the government felt the pain of the ordinary persons and the inconvenience that one suffer due to the abject stupidity of commercial banks and the preferential treatment they choose to give to big clients where they put the big boys first. Now let me start there, Trinidad and Tobago. I sent in an invoice to my bank. 2 banks I bank with. Company account for 50,000 US. 50,000 US. Company sent in an invoice to the bank. You know how much I got? 3,500 US. What could that do for me? Tell me. Tell me. A $50,000 USD invoice. I got 3,500. That is what I got. He referred to personal experience. Listen to this now.
Yesterday I got a call while I was in this chamber. I got a call from somebody. So I ran outside from the bank. The bank that puts you first, by the way. Asking that I provide proof of source of funds of my salary, which was sent electronically by the government to my bank. At the end of the day, I still wait for the money that I worked very hard for. So I understand the lamentation of the ordinary man.
So now, viewers, staying on the banking sector, I bank with 2 commercial banks. I have checkbooks from them. And when this is the experience I'm going through. When I write checks for individual company checks, and they carry to other commercial bank. Let's say I'm dealing with RBC, right? Checkbook from RBC. When I write a check, and let me say I deal with a customer from Scotiabank. When they carry it in Scotiabank, you know what they're doing? They're saying no, they're not changing the check. Why? Why are you not changing the check? Because it is an RBC account check. Scotiabank wouldn't change it. I am having problem with this. Why? It's a company check. We're doing business local and international. You all see how much money I have. So what is the problem? What is the problem? So sometimes, I'll tell you this, sometimes it is the individuals in the bank. Not the bank, not RBC to blame, you know. The individuals working there. Business department, managers. They just choose to say no, and it's no. But nevertheless, in about a week from now, I have a whole program with them to deal with them concerning myself. But nevertheless, I'll ever get it. Going back to the minister. He complained about the requirement the bank needed in order for him to obtain his money. Listen to this.
So this morning I understand that the bank that puts you first wants to get from me 2 forms of ID, a salary slip, and proof of my address. All of this when I've been banking there for the past 14 years. But Mr. President, I will comply, because I've already given them my warrant of appointment from Her Excellency the President as a minister. I have already given them my warrant of appointment from Her Excellency the President as a senator.
Sometimes I feel the bank just want your dead grandmother to come and stand up there so they could see she. Yeah. It's sad, eh? Stinking sad. But nevertheless, I have a whole program in about a week and a half from now with the commercial banks in Trinidad. Now, viewers, Minister Allah continued his slur against the bank and said, only big boys matter. Listen to this.
My bank will not put you first unless you are, for example, someone in its view that matters. Someone who they don't view as a second-class citizen. We said that we shall examine the banking system and how we can improve ease of business, ease of people getting their wages and salaries and so on. There must be a better way, Mr. President, to balance financial oversight and what we are required to do with ease of business.
Now, viewers, he said, the PNM government has for the last 10 years left the commercial banks to brutalize poor people while enabling friends and family and financiers to access foreign exchange. It's sad. Imagine, everybody in Trinidad and Tobago know about Saieed and Real Talk. Everybody know about a group of company, Real Talk Equipment, Real Talk Wrecking. Good? I put in an invoice for 50,000. They want to know what I'm going to do with it. Read the damn invoice. Read the damn invoice that you have in your hand and don't ask me what I'm going to do with it. If you read the invoice, you wouldn't ask me a dumb question for an educated person. It's sad, it's sad. But then again, Real Talk financing is offering 5% on fixed deposit with the interest up front. So I understand now why they want to penalize me, I should say. Yeah. But I'll tell you something, It's with the business department. If they like you, they like you. Sometimes with the managers, we ain't doing business with he can say what he want. But they fail to realize that they could lose their work. That's what they fail to realize. It's a job. Do your job, serve the people, go home and live with your family. Unless you want to be highlighted on Real Talk. And I will gladly do that. I will gladly do that. But nevertheless, we are going for a short commercial break, but when we come back, so transition to secondary schools. When we return.
We'll be right back.
When life throws you a curveball and you need a clear path forward, trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on the roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the blaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real public concern. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
Welcome back.
So trying to make a welcome back to Real Talk. Now, before we go any further, I must remind you viewers that Real Talk Financing is offering you 5% on a fixed deposit with the interest up front. What do I mean by that? Let me break it down for you. If you have $200,000 in the bank, you could have less, you could have more, right? And you want to make a fixed deposit with Real Talk Financing. With Real Talk Financing, we have an offer that is going on for 5 years. You come in, you bring your documents, you would sign up a fixed deposit for 5 years. We will calculate 5% per year. For 5 years, multiply the money, or how much you would get, $200,000 for 5 years, that's $50,000 interest. You don't have to wait the 5 years to collect the $50,000 interest. Within 7 to 14 days, my office is going to contact you to come and collect your interest. No other financial institution in Trinidad and Tobago is doing that. So probably that's why I'm getting so much static from banks. But nevertheless, when there's a brains man, when there's a brains man and he's not a dancey man, when you know to lead and have people following you, you will always be on top. Always. Ila anta rabakuma illa zile inte reina aya anta raba. God said, if I bless you to be the head, you will never be the tail. And I just live with that. I'm a head, I'm not the tail. I lead, others follow. But nevertheless, let me stay with our news. As students anxiously receive their SEA result today, the transition from primary to secondary school can feel a bit overwhelming for the kid and the parent. Acting Guidance Officer for Primary Schools at the Education Ministry, Corinna Henry Carrington. The officers advise on how parents can support their children throughout this transition. She advised parents to continue being involved in the kids' academics.
Your child wasn't assigned to the school of choice, right? I know sometimes parents will be disappointed, but I would just like them to respond with kindness and consideration. This is where you need to lead them and guide them even more, because there will be a whole.
Now viewers, for students who may be a little disappointed in their SEA result, Carrington says for children not to be hard on themselves.
You can go to your assigned school. Once that is something that your parents agree with, you can go to your assigned school, do your very best, and you will excel. It's important to do your best wherever you are assigned.
Now, I just want to say something. For the kids, if you find that you didn't do too well, I'm going to tell you something. Take my advice. Don't beat up yourself. Don't go and frustrate yourself in a corner saying, oh, you know, I could have do better. And my daddy was pushing me to do good. And my mommy wanted me to do better. I'm going to tell you something. On the examination day, you went, you have studied for 4 years. You're reaching standard 5. Standard 5 is a gap between primary school and secondary school. You did your best. You studied the best of your ability. You studied to the full potential of yourself at the age of 13. Now, Don't fight up yourself. Don't frustrate yourselves. Don't do that. You are going to put pressure on yourselves. And for the parents who want to bully the children, oh God, Allah have a little heart now. Is your child. To the mothers, have a little pity. To the fathers, do not condemn your seed. Don't be a mad, ridiculous man. That is your child. They are only 13. This is a huge step for them. Do not force them. Treat them with kindness and tenderness. Okay, you didn't get it the first time. Maybe you will get it the second time. Oh gosh, have a little heart. Because let me tell you something. I know parents who abuse children and cuss them and all kind of things because they didn't pass for a school they wanted, you know. Not the child, but the parents, you know. Oh gosh, it's your kid you're fighting upon. Don't do that. Rock back, encourage your children, love them. If they may get 100 points and they get 80 points, love them. If they get 10 points, show them love. Show them love. Because if you ain't get it today, let me tell you something, your world didn't end. You didn't end. You have tomorrow, you have the day after tomorrow, you have the next day. So for the parents, conduct yourself in a different way because that is your child, not nobody else's child, yours. And when you get sick, who asks about you? The same child that they cussing, the same child that they abusing. So, result come out today. Let me just hope that no kid then reach out to Saieed or through their friends. Did they come out yet? 11 o'clock tonight? Right. So for the parents, now kids have friends that they talk to. They will tell their friend, well, you know my father cussed me because I didn't do good and my mother tell me I don't see head. Let me tell you something. Anytime you hear parents reach out to me and saying them child, their friends' parents abusing a child, let me tell you something. I will call all of them on wall living on national television and send police to monitor all you. All you feel like stupid? Let me tell you something. If a parent is an abused child and in the 21st century going up, we're not taking that. They are only 13. You might be a 40-year-old hardback man and you can't even spell Duncy head. But you're abusing a 13-year-old child, same thing goes for the mother. 40 years old, you cannot spell Duncy head. 40 years old, but you want to abuse your child now because they didn't get 100 points and they get 50. Oh God, don't do that, don't do that. Don't let me hear all you doing that. I'm calling all your name and all your address and sending police for you. That's how stupid I is. But nevertheless, let me stick with the news. Now, choosing peers can be quite a task in some cases, especially when one is not entering secondary school or when one is now entering secondary school. Carrington says it is important to be observant. Listen to this.
Choose your friends wisely. Watch how people interact with others, how they treat others. And then you will know, okay, this is someone I would feel comfortable calling a friend. And it's vacation time, but read a book or two while on vacation. Read a book or two. Make sure it's a book that you like. Respect your teachers and all adults on compound at all times.
So Trinidad and Tobago, while we on the school subject, let me hold back story for a little bit. I want to go to bullying in school. Trinidad and Tobago, this have came to me this afternoon, right? Now I want you all to listen very, very, very carefully because you are going to be surprised. A parent is now claiming that her 6-year-old daughter who is attending Vistabella Presbyterian School is being bullied by a 6-year-old boy in her second year class. I'm calling it out, and if you're vexed, you're vexed. The parent says that the boy mother is a SRP. So you work in TTPS. And in Trinidad and Tobago, we all know TTPS feels that there is some gonzos. But when the bandit bouncing shot at them, they lie down flat under the vehicle. We all know that. Now listen to this. Listen what the parents told me. The boy once punched the girl in her belly, beat her with a book, and ripped off her earrings. The principal keep telling the parents not to go to the ministry, that he will deal with it. But nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. The mother gave me permission to call the daughter name, but I would only say one part of the name, which was Hannah. The boy, I wouldn't call his name, but I already identified the mother. So the school now had to pick up with that, because if I push me, I go start mentioning name. Right? Now, good. The teacher of the class is there. Let me tell you something. The teacher in the class fed up. The teacher in the class fed up. The principal telling the mother, the girl mother, don't go to the ministry, he go deal with it. And to this day, nothing has happened. So principal, let me ask you a question. You have children going to school? Are they being bullied? I am asking you that on national television. Vista Bella Presbyterian School. So if nobody know, now they know. According to the girl mother, the principal is sweeping everything under the carpet. Hear this part now. The girl is afraid to go back to school, and the parents are calling on the ministry to look into it. Call her good night.
Great program, man, and I applaud you for that great advice you are giving to the parents and the children who got the results for the C exam. So I also want to congratulate all of them and let them know that not because they didn't pass for the school of your choice, that's the end of it. I never passed. Let me add a little to it. I never passed common entrance. In my days was common entrance, but I never passed. But I started learning a trade, and then I went to San Fernando Tech part-time. I used to have to travel from New Grand to Sando Tech and walk from the library corner down to Sando Tech, and then come back there and walk from government school, New Grand, to where I live. That's about 2 miles in the night after part-time class. So to all those students who think they fail, you will fail. You will succeed in life. Just keep focused, keep your mind focused, do the right things in life, uplift your life, and you will succeed. And parents, support your children, as you just said, Mr. Said. Give your children great support.
Yes.
Don't, because they didn't pass, as you rightly said, don't bash them or curse them and beat them and things. They will succeed. Work with them and let them succeed, and they will. And today, I am an engineer and a specialist in a particular field. I don't want to say it on air, Mr. Said.
That's not. At least you know where you come from.
I don't want to say it on air because you probably know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
So I want to congratulate the Prime Minister from India and his team. They had a great show, a great welcoming show for them. And that, if the citizens of this country don't know, and Rowley, who never wanted to invite them, don't know, that was showcased all over the world. And the population of India is 1.6 billion people.
Correct.
And they all see that. And at one point I get a little sad. I said, boy, we are having no representative from the Muslim community. But then I see Ruby Khan Gupta dressed in her traditional way and say, come there and sing a qasida. So I was happy. And then you had Batson, you had highlighted him on your program for Diwali celebration, sing an Indian song, an African. So all of that was showcased all over the world, how we live in Trinidad, how we unite in Trinidad. Only the politician, a red party, try to mash we up and bring race and all kind of thing. But the citizens of this country who saw that program, we must unite in this country to make this country first world country, not third world. We must head for first world country. So, Mr. Said, God bless you, man. You keep up this great work, giving people good advice and only doing good things. When you do good things, it feeds the soul and strengthens the spirit. God bless you and your staff, Mr. Said.
Thank you, my friend. So, Trinidad and Tobago, while cyber attacks are incredibly frequent, it can result in some handsome amount of finance when a breach occurs. Director of Cybersecurity at Sustain Consulting, I hope I get correct, Rory M. Banks, elaborate on the ongoing threat of cybercrime during Wednesday's American Chamber of Commerce of Trinidad and Tobago Tech Hub Island Summit.
On average, it costs about $4.88 million US dollars. This is global statistics whenever a company suffers a breach. That's a 10% increase compared to 2023. On average, it costs about $4.88 million US dollars. This is global statistics whenever a company suffers a breach. That's a 10% increase compared to 2023.
Now, viewers, cybercrime are evolving at an alarming pace as a weaponized artificial intelligence and digital alter technology.
On average, it takes about a year for an organization to identify that they have been breached through a compromised credential. Imagine a hacker gaining access to your username and password. Do you have any controls in place to identify that?
So now, viewers, the summit featured a technology exhibit. An instructor at the University of Trinidad and Tobago, David Edwards, said the academic institution is ensuring that people are up to speed with the new digital era.
What we want to do is we actually want to educate. We want to have this lab where persons from SMEs, micro enterprises, small enterprises could come and they could actually learn how to use some of these tools, right? Even open source tools. So the cost that would impact their business wouldn't be that much if they're using open source tools. So AI has become very easy to implement actually. So we want to actually show these persons how easy it is to implement in their business.
So Trinidad and Tobago, even we here at Real Talk Credit Union and Real Talk Financing, our systems are up to date. We always make sure that we keep ahead of everything. Cybersecurity, let me tell you something, is a serious thing right now in Trinidad and Tobago because a lot of companies have cyber attack. Let me tell you something, it's real. It is real. We into tech, we into financing, so we know how important it is to make sure our data are well secured. Al-Rawi questions security cuts. Imagine that. Does Cabinet have the authority to remove the security detail of former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and Stuart Young? Is the Prime Minister still employed as a government minister? No. So why must the state, why must taxpayers pay for security for a former minister who's retired? Why can't he pay for his own security? Like Said pays for his own security. Huh? Well, that was the question asked by PNM Public Relations Officer Faraz Arawi during a media conference on Wednesday. Arawi was surprised on the matter even as neither the former Prime Minister had complained about the removal of their security details. Listen to this.
I would have no problem if it is the Commissioner of Police, after there is a security concern, addressing the issue. Because obviously we have a sitting Commissioner of Police who was a former special branch officer himself and would understand these things. But what I find curious is since when it is the prerogative of a cabinet to decide on security issues.
Hey, let me tell you something. It has more important thing for Faris to say about. You study about security for a past prime minister who's no longer involved in PNM, involved in Trinidad and Tobago. A retired prime minister we're talking about. So why is Georgian campaigning for his own security? Why Kid Rowley campaign for their own security? I'm just asking. These schools don't even have up-to-date security. Or let's study more security for some minister who does what? Nothing for Trinidad? Come now, man, Faris, man. Do better than that now, man. Do better than that now. Referencing previous timing of security details. He said, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar was provided with security for 10 years while she served as opposition leader. She is a minister. She is the opposition leader. She ain't retired. Faris, common sense. For 10 years she was in the parliament. I not realize why common sense hard for some educated people, you know. I not realize that. However, the same opportunity was not given to Dr. Rowley. Dr. Rowley retired. Common sense. He's not in the parliament. He's not affiliated in the parliament no more. Common sense, Faris, come now, man. Here's a big attorney general. Here's a big lawyer. Here's a big time minister. Here's a oh gosh, common sense, Faris, oh gosh, man. Don't make yourself look so low one time now. Listen to this, Trinidad and Tobago.
Dr. Rowley, when he was the leader of the opposition, did not have detailed security. It was only Commissioner, it was then Minister of National Security, Gary Griffith, who broke ranks and said, look, if half the country like you and the other half don't like you, let's do a threat assessment and decide this thing on an arm's length basis, and that is how it happened.
Minister of Defense, Wayne Sturge, also commented saying, security details for former Prime Minister usually extend up to 1 month after demitting office. Imagine that. So all I want taxpayers to pay for all the security for the rest of all their life, home and all the house? No! We don't suffer already. We don't have a good road. Cost of living high. It's sad, yes? Call a good night.
Hello?
Go right ahead, your life.
Yeah, good night, Saieed. I'm calling from Tunapuna.
Welcome.
Saieed, you know the audacity, just now they might call and say that the government has to pay for the medical bills. They are not in government.
Is already paid for it.
I will tell you something with them. When they were in office and they abused office, Saieed.
I listen to you, go right ahead.
Yeah, when they abused office and feel they were heavily protected and whatnot, but today they have come back to the normal being a citizen. Let them face the exposure that we, the normal citizens, face, who don't have no security and thing and whatnot, and face
Thank you, my friend.
Situation.
Thank you, my friend. Let them face it. Now, viewers, moving along. With almost 20,000 contractors and workers now on the breadline, Opposition Chief Whip Marvin Gonzalez and Opposition Senator Faris Al-Rawi have stated that the government firing is wickedness on the part of the government. Al-Rawi claimed that Rural Development Company of Trinidad and Tobago, CEO Jason Kisoon, on the instruction of the Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku, terminated over 100 contractors attached to the Ministry of Rural Development, Reforestation, and Watershed Rehabilitation Program. A document also surfaced showing one of the termination letter. Al-Rawi said, in less than 2 months of yellow is the curse, there are now close to 20,000 workers on the breadline. Listen to Faris.
Faced with thousands of people literally out of employment now. Let me give you the number. The number is 19,810 people, broken down as follows. Let me repeat that. In less than 2 months of yellow is the curse, in less than 2 months of the UNC's government, you now have 19,810 people unemployed, fired, not renewed. 10,700 CPEP workers, 4,608 forestry workers, 140 change agents in Rural Development Ministry, 400 workers at WASA, 700 workers being COVID employees, as we are told, from the RHAs. I won't name which one because people are fearful of being whistleblowers. Another 900 at another RHA. You, of course, know the 10 executive managers at WASA. You know the governor of the central bank. And there are another 10 at the AGLA, which is the Attorney General's office.
I saw Hillary sent a pre-action protocol, I believe it's to the Minister of Finance. Why was he removed? Why was his appointment revoked? But nobody remembers when Clongenberg was the Minister of Finance for the PNM. Remember they moved Jawal Ramaran? Anybody remember that? Does anybody remember that? I hear nobody. Anybody remember that? I remember when Jawal Ramaran had to leave Central Bank. Faris was the not Faris. Clongenberg was the Minister of Finance. I wonder if Clongenberg remember that. It's sad, yes? But nevertheless, Faris, he said under the PNM, this type of action was never done. Adding that when Petrotrin was restructured, the PNM government met with union leaders prior to the planning or the plan being actioned. How many people went home? Oh, I wonder if I remember that. I let Marvin Gonzalez remember how many people from Wassa went home. Al-Rawi said workers were also given separation package in the new companies that replaced Petrotrin. Listen to this.
We accept that governments have the prerogative to create policy and to redesign things. When you win an election, you have to run a country. But what we're pointing out here, I want you to compare the position in Petrotrin to the position today. In Petrotrin, there was a committee established to analyze Petrotrin. Who participated in the committee? You must remember the OWTU was a member of the committee, correct? Mr. David Abdullah was a member of the committee. The union was brought into and provided with all of the evidence of the goings-on in Petrotrin. When the options came about, one of them being the option to stop the hemorrhage of a $2 billion loss per year, the government came in via the board of directors of Heritage, what was its predecessor, Petrotrin, and said, listen, here is what's going to happen. You are going to receive your severance and retrenchment. You're going to receive monies. You're going to receive land. You're going to receive this. People will be rehired. Has any of that happened here for 20,000 people?
Faris, I listen here, you know. But I also listen to what Barry have to say. Now, Al-Rawi said, Senior Counsel Larry Lala and Keith Cotland will be taking the matter to court at the earliest convenient time. So I guess the UNC administration would have had their reasons why they terminated CPEP contract. So I guess they are also preparing to go to court at the earliest possible time also. Now, Gonzalez stated that never in the history of the government transition that there has been this level of revenge, of wickedness. Listen to this.
Never in the history of government transition or political transition that we've ever had a situation where 19,000 workers felt the brunt of political transition that came out of revenge, spite, and vindictiveness. And I'm not saying that because it sounds good. I'm saying it because when you listen to the government's key spokespersons on this particular issue, especially Barry the Butcher and Collateral Damage Clyde, it speaks to the level of wickedness that is taking place that is unprecedented in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. So I don't think we need any law for this, because we have laws to protect workers.
You know, I love that discussion that he just said, you know. I love the words coming out of his mouth. But I want to ask him, when he stood on a platform and told the people that you have to carry out your kids one time for the month, while he took a 40% increase in salary, while he telling all you take 4% or either go home with nothing. How did that sound? Gonzalez, how did that sound? Did it sound nice? Always remember, Gonzalez, always remember, when you was a leader, what you do, eh? Always remember that. Caller, good night.
Hello, good night. Calling from Cedros.
Go right ahead, Cedros, you're live.
Al-Wari didn't know that when Kamala lost the election, they took away the contract from the forestry and from CPEP and sent us home. We didn't make any noise. We didn't get no month's salary up in front.
So this happened when the PNM administration took over from UNC, I believe it's 2015.
That's right.
Oh, Caller,
they sent me home from CPEP. I was a field officer there.
So, if you have any knowledge about how many persons lost their job back then?
Everybody, all the contractors, everybody. And when they went back, they took their own people to do the contract for 9 and how much years.
So, Faris forget that?
No, he can't remember that.
Ah.
Same with the forestry. Down here, they only take the other side party.
Oh.
And give them the work. And we have no work for the past 9.5 years.
Wow. Thank you so much, Caller, for highlighting it. So you see, Trinidad and Tobago, people ain't forgetting. I am just here to bring to you what they are doing. But nevertheless, I am sure Barry have his stuff together to go at them. But Gonzalez forget when he stood on a platform and tell them, you will have to carry out your child one time for the month. And sometimes they might throw a tantrum on you. But he get 40% increase. How that sound? And then Clongenberg telling you now, is either I take 4% or you take nothing, you know. They forget that they were put there by the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And the reason why they are out of office is because of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. They forget that. Never forget from where you come. That is why when you hear public concerns reach, I just put ministers and councillors in their place. Calling it a distraction, Gonzalez said that the timing of the dismissal was done around the arrival of India Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Hey, watch me. That is the most sickest, dumb, stupid, dotish statement you could make. I telling you that. Listen to this.
I'm saying that they are very calculated because perhaps the government is fully aware that the Indian head of state was going to be visiting Trinidad and Tobago at this point in time. Of course, it's advance notice. It doesn't happen overnight. And therefore, the timing of this butchering that is taking place with CPEP and in the reforestation program, and the timing of the visit of this head of state could probably be intended to be a political distraction. It's no fault. They are very calculated. So it is perhaps a well-coordinated political distraction to get the population, the citizens of this country, to focus on this high-level visit as opposed to what is happening to 19,000 citizens losing their jobs and not knowing how they're going to feed their families.
Trinidad and Tobago, I cannot see how a big, educated lawyer like that makes such a statement. I can't begin to comprehend the level of foolish thinking. Moody is here for only 2 days. For those of you who don't know, it's only 2 days. 2 days. I thought the man come here to live, you know. The way Gonzalez getting on, I say, well, the man come here to spend another 2-3 months. It's sad, yes? It's really sad. But nevertheless, them as politicians, and I will not get carried away with politicians. Here's the reason why I am here to educate you. 2 days Moody here for, not 2 years. It's sad, yes? Moving on. Reports of illegal quarrying and mining in the Sandy Grande, Valencia and Manuel Congo region has disrupted service at the Water and Sewerage Authority, WASA, treatment plant. As a result, Commissioner of Police, Alyssa Grovero, led a targeted operation on Wednesday in response to the reports where observers were conducting to determine the scale of impact of the activities, which have raised concerns regarding environmental and infrastructural damage. The police are working to collect evidence, identify those involved, and assess the damage caused. The commissioner affirms that illegal mining and quarrying operation will be treated as serious breach of the law and that the TTPS will collaborate with relevant agencies to bring an offender to justice. Trinidad and Tobago, a lot of illegal quarrying that take place on the east. Sandy Grande, coal mine, that up on that area, a lot of quarrying. But nevertheless, Trinidad and Tobago, we here at Real Talk Studios, we are always going to bring the truth to you. We are always going to bring the incident of the day to you, for you to understand the do's and the don'ts, for you to take action on what is taking place in our country as Trinidad. You understand? Many of these politicians forget what they say on platforms sometimes. They forget. But I am here to remind them that they are serving the public. The public ain't serving them. And that is why when the election took place earlier this year, party changed. They forget who they were. Totally forget. Imagine Miss Data. All I remember Miss Data Shamfa, well-educated minister. Forget to turn off for data. And who had to pay for it? The taxpayers. Not Shamfa, you know. Taxpayers' money. And that's my thing. If you forget to take off your data, why you didn't pay the bill? And that's the problem we have in Trinidad. Too much of government ministers using taxpayers' money to pay for their fault while we suffer for living condition. While we suffer for what? Public service. We suffering for what? Proper street light. We suffering for what? Proper road. We suffering for what? Proper water. Ministers could just go and sue and use taxpayers' money to pay. But I want Kamala to change that. So viewers, we're out of time for tonight, but nevertheless, I will run up this tomorrow from 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. We'll be right back here another night for another episode of Real Talk with Saeed. Until then, enjoy.